Good morning, dear students. My name is Apurva, lecturer in English, GSIPU College, MYSURU. Today, in this session, I am going to deal with the chapter The Gardener from your 2nd PUC English textbook, Springs. The Gardener is the 7th chapter in your textbook. It is the short story which was originally written in Kannada under the title Totadavanu by P. Lankesh. Later, it has been translated into English by H.S. Raghavendra Rao. This short story has been taken from P. Lankesh's collection of short stories Kallu Karaguva Samaya. Palega Lankeshappa, popularly known as P. Lankesh, is one of the most prominent writers in Kannada literature. He is a writer, novelist, short story writer, playwright, poet, journalist, as well as filmmaker. He is also the director of tabloid called Lankesh Patrike. Tabloid, which means a newspaper which covers sensational news, and he is the director of the tabloid Lankesh Patrike. P. Lankesh was born on March 8, 1935 in Konagahalli village of Shivamogga district in Karnataka. In the year 1962, he has published his first collection of short stories, Kereya Neeranu, Kerege Chelli. Later, he also wrote 3 novels, Biruku, which was published in the year 1967, Musanjiya Katha Prasanga, which was published in the year 1978, Akka, published in the year 1991. In the year 1977, he has directed his first movie, Pallavi, which was an adaptation of his novel Biruku, and this movie also won the National Award for the Best Direction. He has also directed some other movies, includes Ellindalo Bandavaru, Kandhavideko Mamsavideko, Anurupa. P. Lankesh is not just a writer, he is also a translator. Here, he has translated 2 epics, Oedipus Rex and Antigone, into Kannada. Some of the important works of P. Lankesh are, his collection of short stories are Manchu Kavida Sanje, Kallu Karaguva Samaya, Kereya Neeranu, Kerege Chelli, and Ullangane Mattu Itara Kategalu. His important dramas or plays are Kranti Bantu Kranti, Sankranti, Gunamukha, Teregalu. He also wrote his autobiography Udi Mavina Mara. P. Lankesh was a recipient of Kendra Sahitya Academy Award in the year 1993 for his short story collections Kallu Karaguva Samaya. This short story, Gardener, is a narrative of human competition which turns into rivalry because of personal feelings like hatredness and greed. What is competition? Competition can happen between anyone, known or unknown. It is just an act of competing with each other. Most of us, we have competitors in our life. Without competition, our life becomes meaningless. But when we take that competition to the extreme level, then our life becomes miserable. So, we should always realize that we should not take the competition to the extreme level. Competition can be divided into 2 types. Healthy competition and unhealthy competition. What is healthy competition? Healthy competition, which means motivating one another and going ahead in life. For example, if the family has 2 kids and one among them is very bright in studies and other cultural activities and another one is weak, then that weak kid always tries to study hard to gain good marks in his exams or to gain appreciation from his parents. So here these siblings, they start to compete with each other, but that competition is considered as a healthy competition, because here though they are competitors, still they are brothers and they have an emotional bond and relationship between them. They care for each other and they also have love for each other. So here this kind of competition is motivation to achieve something in life. Healthy competition always brings positive attitude in the person. But what is unhealthy competition? So, unhealthy competition always reveals the negativity of the person. For example, the same siblings who had love and care for each other at their younger age, when they reach certain age, they start to compete with each other to get property or for the sake of money. They start to hate each other for the sake of money and property. And their competition will reach the extreme level where they even try to destroy each other's personal as well as professional life. So this is known as unhealthy competition. When competition reaches extreme level, then it becomes rivalry. So what is rivalry? Rivalry is a kind of competition. It is a relationship between the two or more people who regularly compete with each other. But when that competition reaches to the extreme level because of their personal feelings and hatredness, then it becomes rivalry. Then it becomes enmity. So here in this short story, the gardener P. Lankesh, he tries to give a moral message or a kind of warning to the humankind through the characters of Basavaya and Tamanna. This short story, it has a unique style in it. The writer here, he has adopted two different modes of narration. First, the writer narrates the story and later one of the characters of this story narrates another story. So here we can say story within a story, which means as a narrator, P. Lankesh narrates one story and later one of the characters of that story, an old man, he starts to narrate another story. So that's why we consider this short story as a unique story. Now let us begin the chapter. Elaboration can only impoverish this account and make it less authentic. So here the narrator, he starts the story in a unique style. He says that elaboration can only impoverish. Elaboration, which means explanation. So elaboration can only impoverish. Explanation can only reduce the originality of this story. So that's why narrator says that he doesn't want to elaborate the story too much, because when we try to elaborate the story will lose its meaning. It will lose its originality. So here narrator wants to retain the originality of this story. So that's why he says that elaboration can only impoverish. Impoverish, reduce. So elaboration can only impoverish this account and make it less authentic. I conceived this story in a flash. It has its genesis in my chance encounter with an old man. He was standing in a coconut grove near Chandrayapatna. Here, this short story is not a pre-planned story. That means the narrator had never decided to write this story until he came across a person called an old man. So when he saw that person, he immediately decided to write this short story, The Gardener. So I conceived this story in a flash, which means here narrator says that he got an idea of writing this story when he saw the old man in a coconut plantation near Chenraipatna. At that moment, he realizes that he has some kind of strange manner in him. That means this old man did not look like a gardener, or he did not look like an illiterate person. He seems to be a very interesting character to the narrator. So that's why he has decided to write this story in a flash. Suddenly, he has decided to write this story at that particular moment. This short story was not a pre-planned story. His eyes were suffused with strange memories and native intelligence. Here, the narrator, he starts the story with the description of an old man. So, here he says that his eyes were suffused with strange memories and native intelligence. That means this old man, he seems to be a very strange person to the narrator, because he did not look like an illiterate person, or he did not look like a gardener. He seems to be a very strange, he has some kind of strange manner in him. So that's why he says that his eyes were filled with strange memories and native intelligence. When we are filled with knowledge and wisdom, that will be reflected on our face, or it will be reflected through our eyes. As quote says, face is the index of mind. The same way here, this old man is a very old person because of his advanced age. He has lot of experience in his life, and that experience makes him a wise man. And native intelligence. What is native intelligence here? This old man, he came from far away place, and here he also knows everything about the local crops and cultivation of various places. So he is well versed in agriculture. He knows everything about the agriculture. That's why the narrator says that he is also filled with native intelligence, which means he has knowledge and awareness about the crops and cultivation. So he has knowledge about the agriculture, native intelligence, which is purely based on his profession. So that's why here narrator, he described him saying that this old man is filled with native intelligence and strange manner. He stood there, a tall figure, hair gone grey, a long beak-like nose, and strong muscular arms. So here the narrator gave the physical characteristics of the old person. So he says that this old man, he is a very tall person, he has long beak-like nose, and he also has grey hair because of his advanced age. Though he is an old person, still he has strong muscular arms, which indicates or which shows he is a very hardworking person as well as an honest person. In one hand, a spade used to tend coconut trees, a newspaper tucked under his arm. He was a laborer, overseer and philosopher, all rolled into one. So here this old man, he was holding a spade in his one hand. Spade, which means a tool which is used to tend a coconut tree, or which is used to take care of coconut trees. In Kannada, we call it as gudli. His another hand, he tucked newspaper under his arm, which means he folded a newspaper under his arm. here the narrator, he also says that this old man, he is not just a common man, he is not just a common illiterate worker, but he seems to be a laborer, overseer and philosopher. So here he says that he was a laborer, overseer and philosopher all rolled into one. This old man, he is a laborer worker. As I have already mentioned, this old man is a hard-working person because he had strengthened his arm by working in the field for a long time, which indicates he is a hard-working as well as an honest person. So this old man can be a laborer as well as overseer. This old man is also seems to be an overseer. Overseer, which means a kind of manager. No, here this old man is capable to understand the problems of his co-workers. He is also able to supervise the employees and also able to communicate between the employer and the employees. So that's why narrator, he thought that he can be a supervisor also, he can be a manager also. And philosopher, which means he is able to guide or give some suggestions, valuable suggestions to the people, because he is an old person and because of his advanced age he had lot of experience in his life. Using that experience, he is able to give valuable suggestions and guidance to the people. So that's why he can be a philosopher. So here this old man, he seems to be a laborer, overseer and philosopher all rolled into one, which means he is an all-rounder. So dear students, in this session we have discussed about the author and one of the characters of this story, an old man. So what are the characteristics of this old man? This old man, he seems to be a very strange person to the narrator. So that's why narrator, he says that this old man is filled with strange manner and native intelligence. That means he is filled with strange memories. Because of his advanced age, he had lot of experience in his life and that experience makes him a wise person. So he seems to be a very strange person. He did not look like a common person. He seems to be a very well experienced person. And native intelligence, which means, as I have already mentioned, intelligence or knowledge which is purely based on his profession. And here he is an agriculturist, that means he is a farmer, and because of that reason he knows so many things about the local crops and cultivation. So that's why he is filled with native intelligence. Tall figure, strong muscles, that means here this old person is a very tall person and he has long beak-like nose and he also has grey hairs because of his advanced age. He is an old person, still he has strong muscular arm, which means he has strengthened his arms by working in the field for a long time. So which shows he is a hard-working as well as an honest person. And here he is also laborer, overseer and philosopher. Laborer, worker. He can be a worker, he can be a laborer, overseer. He is also capacity to be a manager because he is able to manage everything. He is able to understand the problems of his co-workers, so he can be a overseer. He is also a philosopher. Which means here this old person, he has a lot of experience in his life. That means that experience makes him a wise man. So that's why he is able to give valuable suggestion to the people, or he is able to give guidance to the people. So that's why he can be a philosopher also. So he is an all-rounder. These are some characteristics of this old man. So dear students, today I would conclude my session here. In the next session, we will continue with the story. Thank you.